President Donald Trump has put India and Canada on notice, suggesting that he may impose new tariffs on imports of Indian rice and Canadian fertilizer. The decision comes at a time when the U.S. is still stuck in long, difficult trade talks with both countries. Trump's comments came during a White House event where he announced fresh aid worth $12 billion for U.S. farmers after frustrated U.S. farmers claimed foreign goods are flooding American markets. They blamed imports for falling rice prices, saying countries such as India, Vietnam and Thailand are undercutting their crops and hurting local producers, to which the president said he would take care of alleged dumping of Indian rice into the U.S. He said they shouldn't be dumping here.
Well, one of the things, a lot of it does come in from Canada, and so we'll end up putting very severe tariffs on that if we have to, because that's the way you want to bolster here, and we can do it here. We can all do that here, but I would say what you do, you put very severe tariffs on from coming into other countries. You'll be making your own fertilizer very soon.
For India, one of the world's largest rice producers and exporters, the tariff threat strikes directly at one of its most successful agri-export segments. The U.S. is India's fourth largest market for basmati rice. India exported basmati rice worth more than $300 million to the U.S. last fiscal year. However, for non-basmati rice, the share held by the U.S. is rather small. But being a high-value market for India, even modest duties can make Indian rice uncompetitive against Thai and Vietnamese suppliers. Exporters warn any new tariffs could pressure prices, trigger buyer switches and slow momentum, just as India has been expanding its global share after last year's export curbs were partially eased. And beyond rice, the move signals a harder U.S. line on agri-trade, potentially reshaping negotiations on farm goods, regulatory standards and market access. For New Delhi, that could mean more scrutiny, higher barriers and a need to diversify export routes fast, even as it manages the diplomatic fallout of a trade flashpoint with Washington. Canada is a major supplier of nitrogen and potash-based fertilizers to American farms, and any new duties could disrupt prices, supply timelines and seasonal planning for both countries. For Canadian producers, the uncertainty threatens margins in their most important market and could force redirecting shipments to other regions at lower prices. And diplomatically, it risks opening a new front in U.S.-Canada trade tensions. While India and Canada may bear the brunt of the suggested tariffs, the U.S. will not escape the impact either. For U.S., the new tariffs could have a mixed impact. While it might help some farmers in the short term, it risks higher prices for consumers down the line. Costlier fertilizer means higher input costs for American farmers, which can feed directly into food prices just as inflation has been easing. And if duties push up the price of imported rice, retail shelves could see a jump also. Economists warn that while tariffs may offer political wins ahead of next year's midterm elections, they can reignite food inflation and add another layer of pressure for households still recovering from years of high costs. Now the question is, if the tariffs come in place, whether India and Canada will push back, diversify its export markets, or even seek dialogue.
The pictures that stood out to me was when the president asked Secretary Bessent to take notes on what one of the farmers mentions. One of the farmer from Louisiana talked about 3 or 4 countries that need to be addressed, and he said, write those down. You got that? And the secretary said, yes, sir, I've got that. And they were writing those notes down. The other moments that were nice were the 2 gentlemen that wore their nice cowboy-style hats that looked real good in the cabinet room.